You want to improve as a writer, but you don't want to spend all your time doing craft exercises when you can barely find time to write your actual book. Does this sound like you? If so, you're in the right place. Today, I'm sharing 3 exercises that will dramatically boost your writing skills and move you further along in your current creative writing project at the same time. Let's go. As a kid, I loved writing assignments in class. Things like someone leaves a mystery box on your doorstep. You open it and ... But once I was working on an actual book as an adult, I became less a fan of random prompts and exercises. If I was going to spend time on writing, I wanted it to be on writing I could use, in my book. A prompt like write a passage only using words that start with P was cute, but I wasn't going to drop, Peter picked pears patiently into my actual book draft. So the exercises I'm going to teach you today are to help you generate writing that you can actually maybe use in your work. And I've used all 3 of these, and they've made a huge difference in my writing. So here they are. Exercise 1 is to brainstorm a secret. We all have secrets, Tell me that hearing a secret doesn't immediately make someone more interesting, and I won't believe you. When I was working on my first novel, when you read this, I had this character. His name was Smith. Very vanilla name, vanilla character, and that's what I wanted him to be. I was writing a passive character. But because I was writing a passive character, he was kind of falling flat. I kept hearing from others that, they just weren't relating to him. They were having a hard time finding him 3-dimensional. So one day it occurred to me to give him a secret. And I did. I gave him a secret gambling addiction. And like that, he kind of came to life for me. So what are some kinds of secrets a character could have? Well, they could have an action or a behavior that they're ashamed of. They could have an action or behavior that they may not be ashamed of, but they know will upset or hurt someone else to know about. They could have a feeling they believe they shouldn't be feeling or don't want to feel. They could have an opinion that's dangerous or unpopular. They could be holding a secret for someone else. They could have a good secret that they're keeping to bring someone else happiness. They could have a fear, like fraud syndrome, that things aren't what they seem, or a fear that they don't deserve what they have. Or they could have a belief that they don't want to be true, and saying it aloud would make it true. There are all kinds of options. This is not an exhaustive list. I just want to give you some ideas and a sense of just how broad the world of secrets is. All right, exercise number 2 is to copy the prose of a writer you love. Now, speaking of secrets, here's one of mine. Back when I was in my 20s, half a century ago, I was worried that I wasn't smart enough to be a writer. I had taken one creative writing class in college, just one, and that teacher had given me B minuses. And this is one reason that once I graduated from college, I applied to law school, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, I had read somewhere that Shakespeare's vocabulary was 25,000 words or something. And I wondered if maybe I needed to have a bigger vocabulary before I could ever write something publishable. So I ordered a pocket dictionary. Now, this was not only before smartphones, but before Amazon. Okay, I told you I'm ancient. So this pocket dictionary, I defined myself, and it did not arrive via Amazon Prime in 48 hours. It was electronic. It was about the size of a paperback book, and I carried it around with me so I could look up words that I didn't know as I heard them. And it was very cute. It was like a little bit sad. For this exercise, you're going to pick a writer you love. Okay, not a writer everyone else loves, not Shakespeare. If you don't love Shakespeare, I mean a writer you love, whether that's Suzanne Collins, who wrote The Hunger Games, or J.K. Rowling, or James Joyce. Choose a paragraph that you think is great. You just like it, not because you think it's smart, but because when you read it just in reader mode, you feel something or you enjoy it. You can visualize something. It resonates in some way. Now I want you to copy that paragraph by hand, word for word. What do you notice? I'll tell you what I noticed. That my favorite authors very rarely used words that I didn't know. Mostly, they used the same words I knew and used. They were just really good at stringing those words together. And this was a huge relief to me. It felt like a door opening because it meant I didn't have loads of homework and vocabulary memorization that I needed to do before I wrote a great story. I could write one with the vocabulary I already had. Sure, occasionally they used a word I didn't know, but that's never changed. Even as I've grown older and read more and grown my vocabulary, we just learn new words all the time. And that's a good thing. It doesn't mean anything about our capacity to be writers. All right, if you want to take this exercise even further, try this advanced version of it. After you copy down a sentence or paragraph you like, remove all of the substantive words so that all you're left with are the words that keep the sentence sort of hanging together. Like if the sentence were, she tried to blow up the balloon and fainted, you could change it to blank tried to blank and blank, and then fill in the template with your own words so that it makes sense in your own story. You obviously wouldn't want to write a whole story or book this way. That's not the point of this exercise. The point here is to try on new ways of structuring your sentences by actually sampling how your favorite writers write. It can be really fun too. When I did this exercise, I realized that I wrote in relatively short and simple sentences, while authors I love were more willing to play around with kind of longer, meandering sentences. So this exercise gave me permission to try that. Copying can stretch you in a way that opens up a new stylistic pathway for you. All right, I would love to hear who's your favorite author and what's it like if you try this exercise? Please share in the comments below. I have one more exercise to share with you, but before I do, I just want to invite you to apply to my program, the Book Incubator. The link is down below this video. It's just 2 questions and I'll take less than 5 minutes. If you're writing a book or want to write a book, you'll definitely want to check it out. Now back to the video. The third exercise is to copy a writer you love's structure. At some point when I was working on my first novel, I decided I wanted to write it in all emails. Like I wanted to tell the entire story through only emails. How was I supposed to tell a story all in emails? I knew one chapter in Jennifer Egan's novel, A Visit from the Goon Squad, was written all in PowerPoint slides. It's a really good novel if you haven't checked it out. And that was kind of similar, but not quite, and it was just one chapter. Like, how did you do that sort of thing, but with a whole book? Then I found Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple, a book told through emails. So I sat down and I actually made a chart. Like, okay, what kind of email is on page 1 of this novel? What kind of email is on page 2? What kind of email is on page 3? And I'm talking story-wise, like what is each of these emails doing to sort of advance the story? I didn't make this chart for the entire book. Don't worry, that would have taken forever. I only did it for like the first 30 pages or so. But doing this gave me a sense of pacing, like how fast a story could be unfolding when it was told through emails. So give that a whirl. Actually make a reverse outline or part of one of someone else's book that you love. What can you learn about pacing from them? It's a fascinating exercise and one I recommend to writers when they're having trouble with story structure. Speaking of writers I work with, are you writing a book or interested in writing a book? Because if so, I want to talk to you. When I'm not writing, my mission in life is to help writers write their dream books. I love it. I live for it. Because before I published my novels, I first had to figure out how to write one. And it wasn't easy because none of the writing classes I had taken had shown me how to actually write a novel. So it wasn't until I had a newborn baby and just a couple hours a day to write that I came up with a process. And the process worked. I wrote my novels during my 8-week maternity leave. Now I teach it in my program, the Book Incubator, and it has worked for dozens of writers. If you're curious to know more, I have a free video walking you through that process. And you can get it by clicking below and answering 2 questions to apply to the program. You can get the video whether you join or not, no pressure to enroll. Just click below and tell me a little bit about you and your book or your book idea. I'm so excited to hear.